it's clear that those clubs who look at their club as a depreciating asset and always need to be putting money away, it's just like a car. It wears down and you need to improve that. And so those clubs that understand that they are stewards of the club, or those boards that understand that and help that journey along to ensuring that the amenities are the best they can be, and we see a future where we need to evolve this piece or that piece, are going to be the healthiest club.
Welcome to Leadership on the Links, the podcast that showcases innovators in golf course management and the issues they face. I'm your host, Tyler Bloom. In Leadership on the Links, you hear the stories of people shaping the industry from their first swing to their dream match. You'll feel like you're on the course playing with your most inspiring colleagues, having great conversations, digging into insights and sharing a few laughs. Our industry is changing. As a leader, you need to keep up on everything from trends to technology to best practices. Together, we'll continue to build world-class clubs and teams. Let's get to it. Enjoy.
Well, I'm super excited to be joined today by Jeff Morgan, who has become a new friend of the company. And we have to laugh. We were named the newbies at this year's CMAA business conference or world conference and trade show out in Anaheim. And when I first got to the table and saw it said newbies. And I was first like, oh man, we're that group. We're like the little kid here in the big playground. But no, it was awesome. And Meredith and Mary were from our team were there with me as well. And I got to say, Jeff, I walked into that sort of, I don't know what my expectations were, but I walked away saying we need to be here every year because it was a really fun, welcoming, entertaining, and just a really good conference and trade show. So kudos to you and your team for doing that.
Well, thank you. And first of all, thanks for having me. But more important, we celebrate our newbies. So to be a newbie is to be special. So we always have several hundred newbies at conference. We give them a little B to put on their badge. We celebrate our newbies because we understand that in our world, we always have new folks coming in. So we want to welcome them. And that was meant to, being a newbie is something you wear with pride.
Well, I also appreciated the fact that board members all made a point to come up and introduce themselves. So however you all coach your board, I'd really appreciate that because I think that that's a small little attention to detail item that goes a long way. And I'm sure other vendors, exhibitors, consultant groups, whatever it may be, I probably really appreciate that.
I'm glad to hear that. And we our board is great. And I'm glad our board got around to say hello. I mean, we encourage them to do that. And so I'm glad to hear that they made the rounds, as did I.
Talk to us a little bit. How did you get into the position you're in? I always find it interesting with executive directors specifically, or not executive directors, but CEO of their association. Like, how did you get into that role?
So coming out of college, I had a finance degree and ended up working in a couple different for-profit businesses, more in the technology field, ironically, because I understood business, but I also understood technology. And that was when technology was becoming very critical to businesses, and ended up in an insurance association, and came in as the head of technology and left as the chief operating officer 9 years after, and said, this is what I want to do as my career, is be a CEO of an association. So I went back to school, got my master's degree in association management, went on from there to a association that dealt with Wall Street, and I actually did a couple Wall Street associations, one on the Wall Street side, derivatives, another one on the financial communication side, and ended up having a skill set of being a bit of a turnaround, or taking an organization that was quiet and making it really accelerate in their growth and what they did. And that was something that CMAA was looking for. Ironically, my office was across the street from CMAA, and went in for an interview, and the rest is history. And I've been here for 12, 13 years and love it. I mean, it's a great organization, great membership. Content is awesome, and there's just so much we can do as an association to help the members.
What would you say is, like, if you had to characterize like your favorite things and events that you guys have throughout the year, for those that maybe don't know, but for you, like, what are the special events?
For me, it's being with the members. I mean, obviously, as an association, you're in an office unless you're traveling. So I travel about a third of my time, and I'm out with the members, whether it's our events or chapter events. And that helps me understand what is going on in the members, and geographically it changes. And it really has helped me be able to be more effective as a CEO. I think initially everybody was concerned I was traveling too much, but I just feel it's very important. So we have added a lot of events. So I go to a lot of events that are CMA events, but I love going to the chapter events. I actually enjoy the industry events. I mean, you and I have met at GCSA's program, and I sat through the education this year and learned all about autonomous mowers and how effective they are. And so things like that, I can bring back to CMA and say, this is important that, we share this with the members. So I love all my events, and people ask me what my favorite club is. It's whatever club I'm in at that point in time, because it doesn't matter. Each one is special and each member is special.
Meredith and I, specifically when we were at the conference that it was really, I don't know what's the word, exciting to see a lot of superintendents that were actually attending. Meredith's husband is a former superintendent as well. And I thought that that was a really unique pathway. Meredith, I don't know if you have any comments on that, just, seeing superintendents attending that show.
Yeah, I mean, that probably has to be the most shocking part of it. And I shouldn't be shocked because they hold such an incredible position within the industry and within an operation, but also seeing many of them taking the necessary steps to go to the next level, and the next level for them, a GM or whatever that looks like. But you can see that they were in progression to advance their career. But the fact that that's where they started, it was really awesome to see. Like Tyler said, more than I would have imagined. So that was
Yeah. So you have touched on one of the big changes over the past 20 years in club management. I mean, we are going to celebrate our 100th year next year, and we're excited about our centennial. But it's been a journey for club management and club professionals. And over the past 20 years ago, you probably needed to come in via hospitality into club management. And that was really how you grew up, through hospitality, to be the head of the club. And today that's not the case. You can be a chef and be the head. You can be a superintendent. Probably the biggest constituent we have are PGA professionals that have decided that they want to go that track and are dual members of CMA and PGA. CFOs that have gone up. So every club is looking for a specific sort of skill set or a specific way they want to tackle the management, and therefore different skills apply. And CMA is here to really lift all boats, or, because ultimately we welcome everybody into club management. And it's not just, hospitality is core, but there's other skill sets that are important. And it's great to see superintendents come in, and chefs and CFOs and membership and all sorts of people come in. And we've even have some fitness and wellness people that have risen up the ranks that are running clubs now. So it's just awesome.
This is a follow-up to that. And again, obviously my professional background comes from the superintendent side. Meredith was in the private club marketing side. So she previously worked at private clubs as well. How does somebody, what's the type of person that gets engaged and wants to get engaged in becoming a club manager? I mean, what does that pathway traditionally look like, and the time frame?
Yeah, I mean, it can be a lot quicker than it used to be. It used to be probably you were 40 plus before you became sort of the head of the club. We see that in our 30s, and even a few on the late 20s based on the size of club. But I would say, number one, it's a curiosity in the sense of, I always want to learn. I think what you have seen from CMA members is, I need to learn. There's always things changing. I never stop learning. And that is really the core of what we do as an organization at CMA. Is we have the 11 or 12 competencies of club management, and we're always pushing what's changing, what's evolving, what do I need to know? I mean, you may have seen, we have an idea fair where everybody shares their ideas with each other, and we don't see ourselves as competitors. We see ourselves as collaborators or peers, and are willing to share. And so that mindset is different, I think, based upon how you come in. But if you embrace that, I think you can be very successful and say, hey, I have these competencies, but I don't have these competencies, and I want to learn those and become good at those. And that's really what CMA strives to do.
One of my first director role, we had a summer intern come in, and she bounced around, and we made a diligent effort to expose her to different departments and, things like that. And she did a wonderful job. And she came in as, then it was like the F&B not the director yet, but she oversaw the floor, started giving her more responsibility, kept working. She became like the F&B director, 30 years old, GM at a private club right now. She's like probably just over, maybe 30, 33 at this point, but when she got the position, and I always message her and I'm like, I'm so proud of you. She was like a baby when she came in, and she was so determined to learn every corner of the club. And you nailed it. You have to want to absorb. You have to want to learn. And she did. And she's running in South Jersey, an awesome club. It's just one of those stories that I just love to tell.
Well, and you hit on an important point. We have 40 some student chapters, so there's an element of students coming in, and a lot of those students, we have a verified internship program that helps them rotate through the various pieces of the club in the summer. And then those that come in, there's usually a pathway for how they get exposure to lots of pieces of the club and can progress very quickly. So all of this is designed to help folks do their best as well as be promoted and move up the ranks.
Sure.
Jeff, another to that point, and I spoke about this with Ken Johnson from Baltimore Country Club. I was blown away at like the Career Center at the trade show and the amount of students actually participating, which is super exciting. And I think like probably any side of this industry, whether it's golf course grounds, food and beverage, finance, whatever, there is such a limit in, shortage of supply of students getting into the industry. But man, I'll tell you, that was really impressive and super inspiring.
Yeah. We had several hundred students at World Conference, and, I think we understand as an industry and a profession that we have to sell this to students, because many students have never been exposed to private clubs. And ironically, once they understand and see private clubs, they start to get very excited about it. So we try to give them lots of opportunities while they're a student to go visit clubs, hear from the managers, hear from the professionals, and a conference. And as well as we have a student conference where World Conference is more of the collection. Student conference, we go and visit club sites. So we really try to help give them a good perspective, because we understand we're selling against the Marriotts and the Hyatts and the big restaurant chains, and we have to do more to help them see that it's really a better home. And one of the things that I say to many of our students is, if you go the hotel route, don't forget about clubs, because many people mid-career get tired of that piece of hospitality. And hotels in particular, it's a transient membership that you're always dealing with, where clubs, you get to know your members. And we have a lot of people come mid-career back into clubs. So if we don't get you coming out of college, we think we're going to get you later on, which is okay.
Absolutely.
So you probably don't know this, but I started our company back in 2020, largely based on the premise of helping people get into the industry and helping clubs set up things like apprenticeship programs and how to network within their communities. That's what I did as a superintendent, because we just didn't have that pipeline of people coming in from the universities. So de facto, I had to learn how to build our team from within and build our bench from within. And we use more of an apprenticeship model, similar to what you see in the UK and other trades within the States. And I think, trades is a delicate word depending on what your career background has been. But I think even in the hospitality side, whether, the culinary side, it is really a trade in its own capacity, right? So it's just kind of taking that model and shifting that to this way. And again, and applied it in your own unique situation as an employer. But those things that you guys are doing, I think from the workforce development side, is something I'm really passionate about. And we don't do as much of it as we used to. We still support those programs and educate people. But I think that's kind of the way the future clubs are going to have to build from within in many capacities.
Yeah, I'm smiling because we are working behind the scenes with RNA and some other organizations to develop an apprentice program using some of our CMAA materials. So I think over the next few years, you will see that come to fruition. And I think that's important.
I was ahead of my time.
Yep, there you go.
Not often that we say that here within the Bloom Golf Partners team, but totally side subject. So that also plays into the bigger picture here, is probably even the shortage of general managers, executive chefs, and some of those positions. So like, how do you see the club leadership? And you kind of talked about it earlier, that you guys have done a really good job of sort of welcoming and accepting different backgrounds to fill that, senior management, senior leadership, CEO, COO type background. So I imagine that some of those things are helping you, will help the future of leadership positions.
Yeah, I would say that there's a couple things. One is post-COVID, half our membership is new post-COVID, and our membership has grown tremendously post-COVID. So we have this new influx of folks into at least CMAA, maybe not into club management, but because the membership has grown, I believe is the case is that clubs are doing more to create stickiness for their staff. And one of those things that they're doing is giving them membership in the CMA and doing more education and things like that, that's going to make them want to stay in club management. So I think that is a help. But I think that we are in this time where you have a lot of people retiring and a lot of new people moving up. And so it creates great opportunities. But I think it also, and those opportunities, maybe we're going to have younger managers as well in those seats. It requires ensuring that they are ready to go in that head of club role. And that means governance, that means financial understanding, that means all those components. CMA, we feel like we are key to that, hence why the membership has grown, hence why we're creating a bigger bench as a profession.
The other thing that I want to hit on, and I'm glad that Meredith was on the call too, is I think just seeing how many women leaders was definitely a big change from the golf course superintendents conference, where unfortunately women are really the minority in that group. It was really, again, inspiring and really kind of cool to see that. Meredith, I don't know if you have any thoughts around that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm very passionate about in supporting women finding their path to a leadership role, should that be, where they desire to go. But seeing that is first and, right in front. And we've talked to many on the podcast and highlighted many. And it's just the fact that trajectory has taken flight in such a positive way is really, really nice to see. And that message, I just want to shout it from the rooftops that there's so many open opportunities. Not that they weren't, but when there was this thought that it was just such a male dominated, kind of pathway, that those walls have been torn down and really swept away. So just to go for it, and the opportunities are there in so many different ways too.
Yeah. So I have many ways that I can things I can say here. First, I'm very proud of the fact that for the first time in history, we have 4 women on our board out of 13. So we're basically about a third of our membership is women. So it's very representative on the board. The other thing, again, going back to our centennial, we actually have the first program from 1927 and the education content they did. And one of those sessions, and I'd love to see what the support material was being a female club manager. So for 100 years, we've had females involved in club management in different levels. So exciting for that. And I think, we are now seeing and continue to see more and more females rise up to some of the top clubs in the United States, the top private clubs. I mean, I could list, but if I start listing, I'll miss somebody. And, but just look at the top 50 clubs and you'll see a lot of women there. And so that's exciting. I think the other thing that is helpful, again, post-COVID, is we've come to accept not everybody wants to be a GM. That you don't have to be a GM. You can stay as a mid-manager or assistant manager. And many women, particularly because women are more the primary caregiver in a family, decide, I don't want to be a GM. I want to stay as an AGM and be a mom and do all that kind of stuff. And that is, I think, much more, we've created a path for that over the last few years. And we really have focused on celebrating those people in mid-management because, again, that core of people, it's not a failure if you're not a GM. You can have a great career as an assistant GM. And so it's great from a female standpoint as well as anybody, seeing them in both situations. But we're very proud of the fact that a third of our members are women, and we have a pretty good history of decades of women on the board. It's just exciting that this is the first time we've had 4 females in leadership at the national level, and it's finally representative of our board of our membership.
Love that. That's awesome.
It's so funny. I had obviously had a list of questions. You've kind of answered a bunch of them as expected. And one thing we've talked about here is obviously the changing the workforce, and it's part of this is where do you see clubs in the next 5 to 10 years? Because it's workforce, it's technology, it's member preferences, right? Like actual member, not CMA members, but member preferences. Where do you see the club of the future?
Well, I can ask you that question too, so be ready when I'm done. I think first of all, I think clubs are realizing that we have lots of amenities, but the more we knit those amenities together, golf and fitness, golf and food, wellness and food, social activities and food, the more that creates an ecosystem that is appealing to the membership and creates stickiness for the membership. And I think the more we move into AI and technology, the more people are going to want those environments where I can be not focused on technology in front of me, but create those communities, really all the components of wellness. I'm going to have fitness. I'm going to have food. I'm going to have a community, a social community, better mindfulness. And there's not a lot of places you can get that. And I think clubs are accelerating that knitting of everything together. Well, that's number one. But I think behind the scenes, all of the use of technology will become more and more important. AI with data analytics, whether it be on the course for the superintendents or in the looking at financials or looking at member data, all of that is going to become much more critical as far as enhancing the member experience. Not in front of the members necessarily, but being used by the staff, as well as I think autonomous vehicles and all that, again, will be help our teams create a better member experience and may supplement staff. I mean, certainly, you look at a simulator and the simulators are moving to giving golf lessons and giving input on how I'm playing. And it's not going to do away with a golf professional, but it could add to that. Watching autonomous mowers, which you know better than I do, some of these mowers are more efficient than humans. So if we employ those on the course to do the fairways, we can then focus on the skills necessary to create good greens and good bunkers and things like that. So all of that, I think we are going to get more and more sophisticated. But bottom line is technology will be a tool for the professionals, not in front of the membership, because that customer service, member touch is really what the members want, that high touch. So what do you think?
Man, actually, Meredith, we should default that to you first.
Yeah, no, I view the first comment that you made is the integration of the amenities. The more the members feel that is their home away from home, the longer they'll stay, the more money they'll spend, the more successful the events will be. And that is just a ripple effect to the employees, right? I mean, and that fuels the future, that will only, have the funds for master plans down the road and make it, it compounds over and over. So I think, if I had to pick one, I think the wellness aspect of club amenities, that's going to continue to grow because of its ability to touch on every single or be integrated into every single existing element of the club. Golf, swimming, tennis, pickleball, whatever it may be at the club, you add that element to it. And I don't want to say it's not a fad. I mean, it's going to be here forever. People want to hang around forever. So it's not going anywhere. And I think the more that clubs lean into that, yeah, they're gonna hook them and have their members physically there, spending time and money much longer
Yep.
and more often.
Yeah, the future is bright for clubs. I mean, I agree. We're very much in alignment. I think the future is very bright because we have something that is very hard to create, and we have a built-in audience that we're just gonna by our members that we're just going to continue to build and grow in how we serve them and create great experiences for them. Exceptional experiences. Back early in my start at CMAA, I said something, we create great experiences, and somebody pulled me aside and said, no, our experiences at clubs are exceptional. So anytime I say that, I need to say exceptional experiences.
I like that. to add my own little, I guess, twist to that is the idea of AI, I think in automation is fantastic, but you can't replace human connectivity. And I think we have to look at AI as a way to give people the opportunity to create more human connection and leverage human judgment. So that's kind of how I've evaluated it. I'm really into AI. I actually am a part of an AI mastermind group that just blows your mind away with all the capabilities. And it's with business owners in all different walks of life. So it's interesting to see how they're incorporating it into their business. But the real kind of key message from the kind of the leader of this group is we need to leverage human judgment better. And we're not trying to eliminate jobs. We're trying to give time back to the team so they can go make more connectivity with your customers, your team, whatever the case may be. So, I'm still at the very infancy. I'm less than a year into this, but man, I think it's the same thing for clubs. And when you think of automation on the golf course, really it's helping those individuals able to go attend to details, whether it's bunkers, whether it's a little bit more fine tune on course setup, whether it's getting to projects. That's kind of how I see it. I mean, I'm certainly not as well versed in the clubhouse side of how they're leveraging technology, as much, but I think it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. And we are in the infancy. We're in the beginning stages of this.
I think, especially this industry, it's the hospitality industry. There's not your typical hours, right? Like it's very different. It's very different. So I feel like when you can integrate AI appropriately, it creates a better work-life balance. And I think that is a huge piece for, we talk about the caregivers, like finding that balance and being able to do both and pursue a career pathway, but, not be intimidated by what it will take, using these to your advantage is using AI to your advantage in order to further yourself, but not resent what you do, because to be successful in the club industry, I mean, it requires those off-peak hours. It is what it is. I mean, but there's certainly ways to find that balance now, especially.
So true.
Jeff, I'm thinking of there's a couple different angles I could go here. So I want to focus on two more with you right now. So this is, more relative, I would say, to governance, right? And I'm not going to stand up here on a mountaintop and say, hey, Tyler Bloom's a guy for governance. I see it in a different way, but I really feel like my interactions with clubs have really exposed me to what good governance looks like, what poor governance looks like, and those that need help. And they're on that verge of good governance, right? And I know that's a really big thing with a lot of my peer groups in the industry and helping clubs with governance. Can you talk about a little bit of how you see, what are best practices for club governance? How does a club that maybe has never even thought of that word, that, hey, we need help in that? Most of them probably don't even know that they need help, right? So how do you encourage clubs to think about that?
So first, I would say that governance is an absolutely one of the most important things to help make your club the best it can be. And ironically, prior to coming to CMAA, I worked with C-suite executives, and the same thought and the same challenges were in the corporate environment. So I think governance is always there. It's a little bit different in a corporate environment versus a club environment since you're dealing with member volunteers. But I think that those clubs that create a partnership between the staff team and the board and volunteers are going to do the best in excelling for the members. And I think that takes education of your board members coming in and understanding that they have a learning process to learn about the club, because a club is a different operation than a business or a restaurant, for instance, or whatever. But they also have skills that they can bring to the table. And I think that as we continue to get more sophisticated as clubs, our board composition will be more sophisticated. We'll do better on recruiting. What skills do we need? A board's role is to be that, look towards the future, and the board has various things that they should be doing, financial oversight, etc. So keeping them in their lane and helping the club progress. I mean, it's clear that those clubs who look at their club as a depreciating asset and always need to be putting money away It's just like a car. It wears down and you need to improve that. And so those clubs that understand that they are stewards of the club, or those boards that understand that and help that journey along to ensuring that the amenities are the best they can be, and we see a future where we need to evolve this piece or that piece, are going to be the healthiest clubs. And I think, again, it comes back to that partnership of boards and the staff team.
Yeah, I think that's such a huge, I loved what you just said about that partnership with the staff, because I generally do feel, I mean, every club that I work with, the staff really wants to excel in their role. They want to make their members happy. They want to make sure that they're following sort of the overall plan. I'm laughing because I'm thinking, hey, we need some better governance and Bloom Golf Partners, and in a positive way, so I think what you just said there is really good, that clubs need to know that their executive team is really trying to help them. And they just need a little bit of guidance. They need a little bit of a roadmap, and it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the last piece of that we shouldn't leave off the table is data and information. And I think with AI and other things, we're going to have a lot more information and be much more sophisticated with our information. And if we look generationally, how every generation thinks differently, we are going to really have to pull all that together into a mission and a vision for the club. And I think AI will help us there have better discussions at the board table.
Man, that's music to my ears, because benchmarking is something that we certainly are into and trying to help, in the projects that we're working with, whether it's compensation, whether it's operational data, whether it's capital planning. I think it's really, really an important piece. And you're correct. AI is going to change that. Clubs are going to become even more fiscally responsible, but have better informed information to make better decisions. My last little bit here, and actually, Meredith, is there anything that's been on your mind that you want to ask? I've kind of dominated the questions.
No, I mean, I think we've really covered the key pieces and kind of seeing the potential outlook for the club industry, which does look very bright. I couldn't agree more that there's just so much to look forward to, and there's a lot of untapped, potential within the industry in so many avenues. So no, I'm nothing else that's burning on my end. So
all right, I've got one that comes to me often, and you'll appreciate this. Is I hear a lot from superintendent colleagues of mine that will say to me, I think the CMA has done a great job of positioning their association and how the association has really elevated the club manager role. But I think de facto, that's actually elevated everybody within clubs, not just club managers. I think it's across the board, right? So I think CMA, to give you a lot of credit, has really done a great job of educating, making people aware of the club manager, the club management business. And where do you see the CMA kind of continuing to push the industry forward? Because I think a lot of my peers in the superintendent side may not know, hey, the Club Managers Association is actually trying to elevate all positions, not just a general manager, CEO, or COO. Sorry to take you on that.
Well,
journey.
yes. I mean, it's so couple things. One is we changed our name from Club Managers to Club Management Association back in 2017, 2018. And that was really meant strategically to create a bigger tent and to help support those professionals in clubs, the communications professionals, the chefs, membership, CFOs, others, wellness, that didn't have a home within clubs. They may have a home in an industry or another association, but not necessarily club specific, because part of our thing that we offer as CMA is we offer this community, and that's a collegial community that shares and helps each other. And I think that is so important, as does GCSAA do the same thing with their members. And so that has helped us create an entree or a way for other professionals to consider club management. And so we have these smaller communities or sub type of organizations that they can join. Currently, we have 4 of them. We continue to expand that, but we are very collaborative. We have a great relationship with GCSA. We have talked at times about, for instance, doing other things collaboratively, and that really comes out of our members. You take some of those superintendents that say, hey, I want to mentor other superintendents that have a desire to move into management. So CMA welcomes that. We don't necessarily have to be the owner of that, but we want to create the ability for that to be done. And I think that really is what's special about this organization is it's not what I think, it's what the members think and what can we create for the members to own the association. And I think the members largely bleed CMAA blue blood because they care so much about each other and about the profession. And so anybody who wants to step into that, we're going to give them a hug and welcome them and help them be successful too. And so I think that kind of environment helps us to bring more people in and helps us to see the future is going to be created by all of us because we're all part of that and we all own it.
Well, yes, I felt like I got a hug. coming to the conference.
I feel like we started with a hug with you being a newbie and now we're ending with hugs.
Yeah. I appreciate that. No, I'm glad you gave that perspective because that's what I've been probably more sharing with superintendents more and more that really look at the CMAA in a global perspective. And I really appreciate what you just said. So any last comments, parting shots that maybe we missed you wanted to cover?
No, I mean, I appreciate the conversation. I mean, I think we talked about technology, we talked about staff, we talked about the future. You know, I cannot tell you how positive I am. I mean, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is about half our membership is new since COVID. And we're in the process over the next 2 months. We're going to release a member survey that's a member needs analysis that helps us understand our membership because we talk about data. And that will really drive us to develop a new strategic plan that will be launched as part of our centennial that looks forward into the next 100 years. And I really think we're going to see some things come out of that we've not thought about. And that is that voice of the membership that we're looking for. And I'm excited by our 100 years. I'm excited by where the future is. And I'm excited to see the new ways that CMA may fit into that and serve our members as we go forward. We never stop growing, never stop evolving. So this is all part of that.
Well, we look forward to continuing to work with, obviously the National Association and whatever that looks like. And even at the chapter level, excited to be more incorporated and welcomed with hugs and kisses too. I appreciate you coming on the podcast today and look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, maybe we'll see you down at National Golf Day if you're there in DC in another.
Yep, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our whole board will be there too. So we're looking forward to it. We'll see you then.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Leadership on the Links. For more leadership insights and industry expertise, connect with us at bloomgolfpartners.com or follow us on social media sites LinkedIn and Instagram. If you enjoyed this episode of Leadership on the Links, we'd be thrilled if you'd leave a review or share it with someone who you know would get some value. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to stay updated. Thanks for joining us today.